please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
The Indian IT sector has led the economic transformation of the country for many decades, putting India on the world map and altering its perception in the global economy. In the new and dynamic VUCA world that's volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous, how can standards help in developing the digital ecosystem? Can they help us harness emerging technologies efficiently and integrate them seamlessly across devices and platforms? And what role can India play in designing and adopting global standards of ICT? Hello and welcome to the Digital Code, Scripting the Future of IT, our special two-part conversation that will deep dive into all of those questions and more. Let's welcome the eminent panel joining me at our Noida studios today. Vikas Arora, Chief Transformation Officer, IBM India and South Asia. Jagdish Mitra, Chief Strategy and Marketing Officer, Tech Mahindra. Mrityunjay Kapoor, Partner and Head of Technology, Media and Telecom at KPMG India. Reena Garg, Head of Electronics and IT Department at the Bureau of Indian Standards. And Jiten Jain, CEO of Voyager Infosec. Thank you for joining us on the show today, everyone. Reena, let me begin by asking you, the BIS sets standards across industries in India. As far as ICT is concerned, what sort of standardization takes place at India level, and globally, who sets these standards and how?
Bureau of Indian Standards is the national standards body of India, and it takes all the initiative to formulate standards in all sectors of the decision technology, including ICT. And this is being done by Electronics and IT Division Council at BIS through a number of technical committees. Right. The standards are being prepared, and all the stakeholders, including government, industry, regulators, academia, research organizations, they are participating in the activity of standard formulation through these technical committees. And at present, we have 28 technical committees in BIS looking after this IT standardization, and all these committees are acting as the mirror of corresponding international committees at international level, which is being the standardization at international level is being taken up by ISO and IEC, which are the two main organizations involving international standardization.
Okay.
So BIS is basically facilitating the industry, the Indian industry, the India as a whole, to participate in the international standardization setting process in the world of IT.
All right. And Mrityunjay, let's take that to a bit of a macro level at IT sector level. How in sync is the Indian IT sector, barring the top 10 companies, how in sync is the larger Indian IT sector with standards that have been set globally, and what makes it more important now more than ever before to adopt these standards and contribute more towards designing them?
If you look at the the ITES sector, I think we are world leaders. We are essentially the largest ITES services provider. So in that space, we are pretty much the leaders in whatever we do, and essentially in sync with the global standards and probably setting the standards for the globe. But when I move to manufacturing, I think that is where attention is required in terms of manufacturing high-tech equipment, specifically considering where the entire economy is moving, digitization, 5G, IoT, all of these new devices coming in, and can we take the lead? And if we have to take the lead, I think standardization will be critical for us to get in place.
Jagdish, India is a nation of immense innovation. What role can standards play in really pushing innovation, particularly at grassroots levels?
Oh, tremendous, because especially more now than before, especially because you're looking at a very connected environment. Digital is everywhere, and the source of growth will come from multiple segments in an economy. So you will have small scale garage startups doing stuff. You'll have groups of students coming and creating innovative applications and products. People talked about manufacturing. We just did a hackathon where the government sponsored it, and it ran about creating products which are IoT enabled. Now, if you don't allow a certain set of standards which enable people to connect seamlessly, which enable people to transact seamlessly, you'll create isolated groups of technology products which won't be able to scale.
Correct.
So in order to scale and in order to make sure we can actually proliferate and take advantage of digital, standards is the most important bus, if you may, for everyone to jump on and do their own thing.
We are also in an age where we are talking, Vikas, of a lot of emerging technologies. We are trying to leverage artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things and whatnot. So, as far as leveraging all of these technologies is concerned, how do standards play a role there? And one of the big challenges currently is to integrate these various technologies and to ensure that we can operate seamlessly between devices and platforms. So, how do standards really take that point forward?
See, I think taking cue from this whole internet era, internet wouldn't have been what it is if it wasn't for standards. I mean, the whole pervasive usability of internet came about because of standards. We think about blockchain today, IoT today, artificial intelligence today, quantum computing. Now, the pervasiveness or the potential of these technologies is hugely disrupting. I mean, and you know, they have the ability to disrupt many things, you know, connectedness in IoT or jobs in AI or the whole concept of central institution in blockchain. I mean, those are all concepts. Now, with this kind of impact that these technologies have had and having seen what standards have done to the technologies that we use today, I think clearly it's imperative that there must be, you know, standards. And when we think about connectedness, I think interoperability has to be an intrinsic part of the standards development as it happens around these technologies.
Right. And Jiten, how would you rate the standards ecosystem currently in India? And do you think it needs to be far more comprehensive than it currently is?
Like we are in the beginning of a digital age, we are in an era where, you know, integration and innovation will drive the entire internet industry, and that will make standards very, very important, because for any sort of integration or innovation, interoperability and standards are the fundamental principles. And if you look at Indian picture, picture is not very rosy, and we don't have to look only at India. Across the world, especially when it comes to IoT or AI, we are yet to have some sort of consensus where we can, you know, which is required first to have standards and then to codify them. So I think we are still 4 to 5 years away where we will have some codified standards. But yes, now there has been a beginning, you know, across governments, especially in developing countries, especially in the telecom importing and exporting economies, where they are realizing the need of having standards so that the growth potential of entire IoT industry and AI industry is not disrupted.
We are in the VUCA world, as you IT people have coined that term. VUCA standing for volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous. So, in such an environment, Reena, how do standards help businesses navigate choppy waters? What sort of impact can standards have on the business side of things?
I think standards are the solution for solving all these problems, and standards, they promote innovation. Standards, if you follow standards, your products are acceptable across the borders, and if we define the terms and conditions of the product we want in the term of standards, we can regulate the quality of the products coming in our country. So, all these factors are very important from the Indian economy perspective, Indian industry perspective, and standards only can come to the rescue, like when all these emerging technologies need to integrate together. So, BIS is providing all these opportunities. We have a well-defined ecosystem, we have a well-defined mechanism, procedure laid out for entering into the international standardization setting process. Like, it's better that our industry come forward, our academia comes forward, the stakeholder, all the stakeholders come forward, and they participate in that international standardization setting process, so that our requirements are met right there only when the standards are being written.
Okay, so on that note, we are going to head into a short break right now. On the other side, we will discuss the road ahead for the Indian ICT industry. Welcome back to the Digital Code, Scripting the Future of IT. We are talking about the standardization of the digital ecosystem. Jiten, digitization is crucial for any industry to be globally competitive today. Can standards be enablers of digitization?
Obviously, they will be, and data is the new oil, and we are looking to collect data, you know, from everywhere, and that's where sensors are playing the biggest role today. So, I mean, if you talk about IoT, we are looking at government's ambitious target of exporting $15 billion worth of devices by 2020. And that's where standards will have to come in, at the very beginning, because if you do not standardize your products, it'll be very difficult to export them. Right. So that's, one area that, to begin that long journey, you have to take that first fundamental step of, standards to be there in place. And I'm happy that I think Ministry of IT and ISOC are planning some some roundtables around it. There are private industries, especially in software market, across India, which are now taking the lead, and I think we have got some standards codified also in the international ITU. So I think this is a very good beginning now. We need to consolidate on it.
Jagdish, digital will also drive critical sectors like healthcare and education, particularly in an emerging economy like ours. What sort of repercussions can a lack of standards have on these critical sectors?
See, in a country like ours, I think digital has a much more fundamental role to play. The Prime Minister had just mentioned about this launch of the insurance scheme, right, in this budget. Now, how do you make that come alive? If you don't make the standards available where a patient's data record is secure and is standardized, and you know every time when you pick up the data what you are getting from it, you're going to create a complete set of chaos where one operable system in another state to another district to another hospital will not make sense out of it. Same for education. Same for any of the things that we are today laying down, whether it's laying down for commerce or banking. If you don't set up the standards, you will not have an interoperable system for a country like ours. And the biggest challenge for that is that you will not create an ecosystem that will develop applications on top of it for people to use and mass use. One company or one central government or one state government will not be able to dictate terms saying do it this way. You'll have to make it democratized. And democratize means you have a platform on which you standardize.
In an age where all of us are getting into wearable technology, we are talking of 1 trillion devices getting connected and talking to each other. How would you, what sort of a roadmap would you set for standardization? What would be your top 2 or 3 points on the agenda?
I think it's very clear that this needs to, have a forum of discussion first of all, because I mean some of these technologies, whether you talk about security or IoT or AI, the standards are emerging and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I think wherever we've seen great standards emerges, they've always come out of an ecosystem. So it's important that the stakeholders need to come together, and we have to basically make it one of the primary topics of discussion along with the technology itself. So while this whole process needs to go hand in hand. So I think the first step is bring some of these forums together. I think this is one of the the great starts, or one of the good steps in that direction. But it's important that industry bodies, private sector, all the IT companies, standard bodies internationally must come together to think about the standards, and to make sure that the lack of standards does not come in the way of what the potential of these technologies have to deliver.
Reena, BIS is engaged in creating some of those platforms that Vikas just spoke about. Tell us about what sort of collaborative efforts you're taking with academia, and what sort of participation do you want from India Inc. going forward, because here are leaders of India Inc. who can perhaps pledge to participate more.
We definitely seek support from the industry to carry forward the standardization ahead. And all the topics which Vikas had mentioned, like IoT, wearables, sensor networks, and AI, and additionally blockchain technology, and then in smart cities, like BIS already has well-defined structured committees set up with the stakeholders participating in the standardization activity, all those committees. And we need more and more active participation of the industry and other stakeholders, including academia. So academia also can help us a great extent in the carrying forward the standardization activity. And all these activities also mirror the international work, like they act as the national mirrors of the corresponding international committees. So we have an opportunity to participate there as a member of these mirror committees. So we can project our requirements at that level. And on the big data side, the big data analytic framework architecture, India is proposing, and that has already been deliberated in the last meeting of big data, which was held in February 2018 in New Delhi. And similarly, now the approach of the BIS is to host more and more meetings in India, and the immediate opportunity in front of all of you is to participate in software and system engineering committee. That is JTC1 SC7, and India has recently been assigned the leadership of this committee as the chair and the secretariat, and which is a very big achievement for all of us, for IT industry of India.
And a huge opportunity for India to participate more.
And this leadership has been with Canada for last 20 years, and now India has it. So, we should leverage that opportunity, and this committee is meeting in New Delhi from 6th to 11th of May
this year.
And there will be 15 parallel working groups working on software testing, tools and environment, architecture. So, all the foundational standards are being done by this committee. So, we should come forward. We already have a team of members who are who are participating in the mirror committee of India.
Right.
But we want more and more participation, more and more proposals to come from India for the international standards.
So let me get the India Inc. perspective on that. Why is it that India Inc. currently does not participate enough in the creation of international standards as far as IT is concerned, and you know, what will make you see the ROI in this?
We don't actively as an industry participate as much. I think the question boils down to the one that you just asked about, that we need to probably socialize the views of what is the investment going to return back on.
Right.
You don't want a tick in the box. You want a participation where people are putting together their thoughts and ideas into the whole formation of the standardization.
And Mrityunjay, given how every single aspect of trade and commerce is really being digitized today, what are the challenges in aligning standards with these host of national policies related to say consumer protection, environment protection, trade, industry? What are the biggest challenges?
You know, firstly, let's understand what the standards try and define. The one element or the three things that standards actually bring about: first is a common language, 2 is security and safety concerns, and 3 is interoperability. Now, if these 3 elements are met, then I think all of the national policies or the programs that are there, they come under a common ambit.
Right.
And I think it provides, it's not a challenge, it's actually an opportunity to make sure that efficient utilization of funds which are outlaid are used by taking these 3 considerations, i.e. taking the standards in place.
All right. And Vikas, as far as the international standardization process is concerned, do you think there needs to be more positioning of Indian test cases there?
Oh, absolutely. I think, you know, first of all, this is as robust an ecosystem as you can get in India. You know, on one hand, we have one of the largest developer populations in the country.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you know, we have one of the biggest consumer bases in the country. And then this is, you know, where we actually have, you know, the who's who of the IT industry, you know, coming in, and especially the impetus that the government is providing. So clearly, if you all put it all together, I think the kind of use cases and the innovation that we can get out of here is just second to none, which is the reason why I think that, you know, it is going to be extremely important for the representation that India has in this whole process internationally, you know, through BIS and through some of the bodies, to make sure that each of those use cases, each of those inputs are adequately represented.
Right. All right. We're completely timed out on this episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for being on the show today. Well, with that, it's a wrap on the first of this 2-part conversation on standardizing the digital ecosystem. Next time, we'll delve into security and privacy concerns, as well as developing a pool of human capital for creation and adoption of standards in the IT sector. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.